Hey, what's up YouTube fam? It's Ben here. Welcome back to another flow. As always, we got new classes here every Wednesday and Sunday, so please feel free to hit that subscribe button if you'd like to be a part of the crew. With that being said, we'll get started for today's class just in an upright seated position because we'll just do some simple grounding and breathing before we jump into our movements. So using the next couple breaths to sit up nice and tall. It can be on your shins, it could be cross-legged. You can even recline on your back if that would feel better for you. Feeling the shoulders relax, feeling the jaw unclench, while feeling the spine sit up a little bit taller. Notice your breath. And then we'll take some deep breaths together. As you're ready, exhale everything out, clear the system. Then take a deep breath in through the nose. And sigh it all out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Last one, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Make your way into a downward facing dog. If you're like me and you have a cat laying down on your mat, maybe you work around him or her, maybe you kick them off. Either way, make your way into your down dog and start to settle into this shape. So that can mean bending one knee then the other. It can mean shifting the weight side to side by dropping the heels to the left and right. Be explorative, be really curious with your movements. We're going to be creating some strength in today's Vinyasa class. So even in this first shape, our downward facing dog, setting the foundation. Notice where you're gripping the mat with your fingertips. Notice where you can feel the space being created in the back of the legs. Just having a moment of mindfulness landing in our downward facing dog. Then start to feel complete with any movements and use the next few breaths to work into stillness into your downward facing dog. I always feel this shape becomes a little more challenging when I have to hold a still position. Pressing down through the heels. Again, gripping the mat with the fingers like suction cups down into the mat. Best efforts to externally rotate the arms. The eyes or soft parts of the elbows will point forward. Good. Look out in front of you. Rise up high onto your toes. Bend the knees. Belly comes closer to the thighs. And then spring yourself into a high plank position, straightening the legs and rolling the spine forward. Driving through the palms, creating a moment of early strength in our practice. And of course, whenever we cue high plank, you're more than welcome to drop down to your knees if that helps you find stability. And then from here, we're going to lower into a chaturanga by bending at the elbows. Shoulders come in line with the elbows. We're leaning forward as we press down. Beautiful. Then rise back up to high plank. Awesome strength. From here, drop the knees down, send the hips back toward the heels for a version of puppy pose. You can even let your forehead land all the way down on the mat here, feeling the shoulders expand away from the back, feeling the spine become long. Then pull yourselves through to a knees, chest, and chin position. Pressing the knees, chest, and chin down into the mat and using that to create a subtle back bend and heart opener. And then from here, release the tops of the feet down and then pull the hips forward for downward facing dog. So pressing through the tops of the feet, driving through the hands, lifting the chest. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out to find your downward facing dog. Hips go up and back. This time as you look forward, rise high onto the toes, bend the knees, and then don't worry, instead of high plank, we'll just walk forward to a forward fold uttanasana at the top of the mat. From here, you can freely shift the weight around. It doesn't really matter what you do with your hands. If you want something more passive, you can clasp opposite hand to elbow and use that as a position of softness for the upper body. You can even take an early gorilla pose, Padahastasana, by sliding the hands underneath the feet for a wrist stretch, and always being sure to bend the knees as much as you need to here in this forward fold. First one of the practice, so if the hamstrings are feeling tight, then be okay with that. Just acknowledge and work with it. Keep breathing here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, maybe fold a little bit deeper for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Find a halfway lift to release. Spine extends forward, maybe the palms draw into the legs, and then fold and release. Drive through the feet, rise up to stand, palms overhead, reach up and back, and then drop the palms to rest by your side. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Last one, deep breath in, deep breath out. Lift the palms overhead, then sink the hips into a chair pose, Utkatasana. Bring the weight into the heels of the feet, and feet are about hips width distance. Drive the butt back in space. Use that to create a longer spine, even a little tuck of the tailbone. Option to stay here or rise onto the toes. Good, and we're gonna move with our breath. You can keep the heels spiked as much as you can, or you can always drop the heels down for this. But either way, we're gonna breathe in here, and then exhale, find this skier pose by dropping the chest closer to the thighs and reaching the hands back in space. Inhale, reaching up for this chair-like pose. Exhale, skier, chest lowers, hands reach back. Inhale, lift up through chair. Exhale, skier. Finding your rhythm. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. Working the energy in the legs. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. And then fold, drop the heels down to the mat if they were spiked. Shake out the legs, let all of that movement go. From here, step back into a high plank. Feel your strength. Second time here, maybe it feels a little bit more comfortable. Start to lift the left foot and left hand off the mat. We're going to rotate to side plank on the left hand. Option to stay here. Option to lift your right foot off of the left up to the sky to activate more. Option to drop the right foot behind the left for Wild Thing. Using this as a position to create opening across the heart, pressing the hips up to the sky. Using that third point of contact to find that additional opening. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, come back through high plank, whatever version you're in. Start to roll onto the right hand, lift the left foot and left hand off the mat into side plank. Again, maybe you stay right here, great place to be. You can even modify by lowering your right knee down to the mat. You can lift the left leg tall. You can lift or release rather the left foot behind the right leg for this version of Wild Thing. Pressing through the hands. On the right hand, obviously, and then lifting, creating space with the left hand as it reaches closer to the ceiling. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out, close it off and come into high plank, and then drop down to your forearms. Forearm plank. From here, walk the feet closer to the elbows, dolphin pose. Try to press down through your heels to take pressure off of the arms. We're not dumping forward into the arms. We're keeping the weight pushing back with our hips and down into the heels. A really strong dolphin pose. We'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome work. Come into a downward facing dog simply by replacing the forearms with the hands and come into your down dog. Make any adjustments you need to land into a comfy version of this shape. Beautiful movements so far, everybody. Let's go ahead and take some rolling vinyasas, capitalizing on some of this strength. We're going to really challenge the upper body here, so come down to your knees whenever you want and know that we will take a break soon. But from here, inhale, rise up high onto the toes. Exhale, bend your knees, bring your belly to thighs. As you inhale, roll yourself forward into high plank. Stay here for a moment. And then we'll roll onto the left hand and left foot, come through side plank, or maybe Wild Thing by dropping the right foot behind you. Take a breath in, fullest expression. Exhale, close it off. Start to roll onto the right foot, side plank, or come into Wild Thing by dropping the left foot behind the right leg. Take a breath in to lift everything up. Exhale, close it off. Listen carefully, come through chaturanga, low plank, bending at the elbows. Again, of course, always option to use the knees. Rise back up to high plank. Drop the knees, send the hips back in space, look forward. Pull yourselves through, knees, chest, and chin down on the mat. And then release up to upward facing dog. Take a breath in. And then exhale to downward facing dog. Beautiful work. Take a nice cleansing breath in and out. Cleansing breath in and out. Let's do it again. Inhale, rise up high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees, bring the belly to the thighs. Inhale, roll yourself forward to high plank. Exhale, stay here. As you inhale, start to roll onto the left foot and come into side plank or wild thing with the right leg behind you. Drive through the left hand, lift the hips up. Take a breath in, fullest expression. Exhale, close it off. Inhale, start to roll onto the right foot. Side plank, pressing through the right hand or lower the left foot down behind you for wild thing. No matter where you're at, find your expression. Deep breath in. Deep breath out, close things off, come through high plank and then chaturanga, bend at the elbows, lean forward. Power back up through high plank. Drop the knees, send the hips back in space. Pull yourself through to knees, chest, and chin. And then to upward facing dog. Take a deep breath in your up dog. And then exhale to down dog. Cleansing breath in. Big sigh out. Do one or more of those. Cleansing breath in. Deep breath out. Last round here. Inhale, rise high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees, belly comes to thighs. Inhale, wave yourself forward. Exhale, land in your high plank. As you inhale, start to roll onto the left leg, side plank or wild thing. Use your next inhale to power the hips up. Exhale, close things off. Inhale, roll onto the right foot. Exhale, get yourself set. Inhale, your biggest version of wild thing. Exhale, close it off, high plank to low plank, chaturanga. Inhale to high plank. Exhale, drop knees, send hips back in space. Inhale, pulls yourself through directly to upward facing dog. And then exhale to downward facing dog. When you get there, look forward between the hands as you inhale, rise up and bend the knees. Exhale, step, hop, walk, float, feet to hands, top of mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, Tadasana. Exhale into chair pose. Sink the hips low and pause. Work the challenge here. We'll go through our movement with our breath here, and just like last time, you're welcome to spike onto the toes for an additional challenge. You're welcome to keep the heels grounded down. It really is up to you. But either way, we'll inhale in our chair pose. Exhale, skier. Lower the chest, reach the arms behind you. Inhale for chair pose. Exhale, skier. Find your rhythm. Inhale to chair. Exhale to skier. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. Beautiful job. And then fold and release. Shake out the legs. Find a Pada Gustasana here, hooking the peace sign fingers around the big toes and bending the knees, using that to pull your chest closer to your thighs as the elbows pull out to the sides. Sway your chest left to right. Awesome work so far, yogis. From here, option to simply step back to down dog, option to go through a vinyasa, option to come into a crow pose here. For crow pose, we place the hands firmly on the mat, and it's okay if you're just giving this an attempt, you know, we're all works in progress, as I always say. So if you don't have a crow pose practice, now is maybe a good time just to play around. We're gonna bring the knees up to the triceps and then start to lean forward. The gaze is about 1 to 2 feet out in front of you, and use that to lean. The crow pose is more of a transfer of weight than anything else. Maybe you just lift one foot off the mat. Maybe you lift both feet. Try to breathe, try to find some ease here as you drive through the palms. Use the fingertips. If you're in crow, we'll be here for 3, 2, 1. And you can make your way to chaturanga, low plank. You can step back, you can shoot back. When you get to chaturanga, rise back up to high plank. Good work on the arms. Release the knees and send the hips back to the heels. Pull yourself through into an upward facing dog and then to a downward facing dog. And those moments of challenge are so great because We can really just meet ourselves where we are, and as long as we're unafraid to fall and we're unafraid to not be perfect, then usually it's a good opportunity for growth. From here, lift the right leg up to the sky, three-legged dog, and then take a big step, right foot to right thumb, warrior two. So for warrior two, we're dialing the left heel down to the mat. The left toes are pointing forward at about 45 degrees, and then we're opening through the right hip as we gently press it out to the sides as the arms release to the sides as well. Find your strong shape here. See if you can relax the shoulders away from the ears. And just breathe, work into your steadiness. Awesome job. From here, we're going to reach our left hand down to the mat, come into a revolved side angle, twisting the right arm up to the sky, spiking onto the left toes. Create space across the chest here, and then we'll come into another side plank. The right foot is going to send back to meet the left, and you can either stay in side plank, or you can lower the right foot behind the left leg for wild thing, driving through and lifting the hips. Find your fullest expression here. Take a breath in. As you exhale, close it off, come through high plank. Roll onto the right hand and right foot. Come onto side plank or wild thing on the right hand. If you're doing wild thing, drive through the feet, lift the hips higher. Take a breath in. As you exhale, close things off. Come from high plank to low plank. Back to high plank. Knees drop. Send the hips back to the heels. Pull yourself through upward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. And then downward facing dog. Take a deep breath out. One more cleansing breath in and a cleansing breath out. Inhale, lift the left leg up to the sky. Exhale, big step, left foot to left thumb, warrior two as the right heel dials down to the mat, and we open up through the hips, open up through the arms. Settle in. As you all know, we'll be here for a few breaths. Using this as a position not only to get off the arms, but to strengthen the legs and to find our breath. Just because we're in stillness doesn't mean it's not a challenge, but can we work into that challenge? Can we be with the challenge? Breathe. Bring the right hand down to the mat. Come onto the outer edge of your right foot and swivel the left foot back behind you for side plank, or for wild thing by placing the left foot to the back of the mat. Power up through the legs. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, come through high plank and then roll onto the left foot. Come into wild thing on the other side. Lift the hips up to the sky. Take a deep breath in. Close it off, high plank to low plank, chaturanga. Come back up to high plank, drop the knees, send the hips back in space. Inhale pulls you through to upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. When you get there, cleansing breath in, cleansing breath out. Look out in front of you. Inhale, rise to the toes, bend the knees. Exhale, step, hop, walk, float feet to hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, lift the palms overhead. Exhale, sink yourself into a chair pose, Utkatasana. Settle here. Strong in the feet. Option to keep the heels down, option to spike onto the toes. Let's go through our balancing leg sequence here. So take a breath in. As you exhale, belly to thighs, reach the arms back behind you. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, skier. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. Inhale, chair. Exhale, skier. And release, fold down to the mat, shake out the legs. Find a halfway lift, extend the spine forward, and then fold, plant the palms on the mat, step back to your high plank. From here, drop the forearms down, dolphin, or forearm plank, I mean. We're not going to dolphin quite yet. From here, start to roll onto the right foot, left foot lifts, left hand lifts. Option to come into forearm side plank on the right foot. Option to even lower the left foot behind the right leg for this version of forearm wild thing. Just a great way to open the shoulders here. Awesome work. Come back through center. Rotate onto the left forearm. Option to come through forearm plank on the left side, or maybe even Drop the right foot to the mat behind the left leg and lift the hips into this version of forearm wild thing. Good. Come back through center, come back through forearm plank, and then we will find dolphin pose now by walking the feet closer to the elbows. Again, try to release pressure from the arms by driving the heels back in space and straightening the legs to the best of your capacity. Even if your knees are bent, by having the intention of straightening the legs, we're putting more weight into the heels, thereby bringing weight off of the arms. Be here for 3, 2, 1, downward facing dog. Bring the hands down to the mat, adjust the feet as you need to land into this shape. As you inhale, right foot up to the sky. Exhale, big step, right foot to right thumb, warrior 2. Dial the left heel down, open up through the hips, and find your strong shape. Equal amounts of opening across the chest and across the hips here as we find ourselves open to the left side. Use this opportunity of stillness to find your breath, even if it's a challenging shape. As you'll see, I'm consistently wiping sweat off of my forehead, so just so y'all know, this is very challenging to me too. That's also the intention of the class. Challenge also often requires mindfulness, right? So if we're putting ourselves in a tough physical position, chances are requires a lot of concentration and mindfulness and presentness to get through it. So it is a tool almost to find moving meditation. From here, reach the left hand down to the mat, come through revolved side angle, right hand up to the sky as we twist, and then step the right foot back for side plank. Option to stay here. You can modify by bringing your left knee down to the mat, or you can take it into wild thing, stepping the right foot out behind you. Take a breath in, power up through the hips. Exhale, close it off, start to rotate onto the right foot. Find wild thing, drive through the feet, lift the hips high. Take a breath in. As we exhale, close everything off, high plank to low plank. Rise back up to high plank. Knees drop, hips send back to the heels. Look forward and pull yourself through into an upward facing dog. And then into a downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in, left leg lifts to the sky. Big step, left foot toward left thumb. Drop the right heel down into warrior 2. Open up to the right side of your mat. You're gonna feel the upper body relax. Even though we're in a challenge, appreciate the chance to take the pressure off of the arms here. Breathe. From here, reach the right hand down to the mat, come through revolved side angle, and then into side plank. Left foot sends back to right. Again, you can modify how you need, or you can step the left foot behind you and power yourself into a wild thing position. There's no right place to be here, but either way, use your next inhale to find your fullest expression. Exhale to close it off into high plank. Start to roll onto the left side and find side plank with the left hand down, or wild thing as we step the right foot behind you. On your next inhale, find your fullest expression. Exhale, close it off, high plank to low plank, bend the elbows. Rise back up to high plank, knees drop, hips send back to heels. On your inhale, pull yourself through to upward facing dog, and then exhale, find your downward facing dog. Take a cleansing breath in, cleansing breath out. Look in front of you. As you inhale, lift onto the toes, bend your knees. Exhale, step, hop, walk, float, feet to hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to stand, palms overhead. Exhale, sink down into chair pose. Such beautiful work so far, y'all. We just have one round through this whole sequence, and then we'll wrap it down. But we're gonna build some last strength while we're here, while we're open, while we're active. Stay here with your heels down, or spike the heels and rise onto your toes. Breathe in to stay here. Exhale, find your skier position. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, skier. Inhale, rise. Exhale, skier. Inhale, rise. Exhale, skier. One more, inhale, rise. Exhale, skier. Release the upper body and fold forward, straightening the legs. Don't worry if you're done with that movement for the day. Whew. Shift the weight side to side, and then step back to your high plank. When you get to high plank, drop down to forearm plank. Start to rotate this time, left side first. As we pick the right hand and right foot off the mat, you can come into forearm side plank. You can come onto forearm wild thing, driving down through the left elbow. Take a breath in. As you exhale, close it off. Come through forearm plank and then rotate onto the right forearm. Come through side plank or this version of wild thing. Press the heel or press the hips up. Use the strength in the legs. And then close it off. Come through forearm plank. Walk the feet forward into dolphin pose. Drive down through the heels. Really strong through the legs here. Good. Downward facing dog. Press yourself onto your hands. Last time through this standing sequence now. Awesome work. As you inhale, right foot up to the sky. Exhale, right foot to right thumb. Come into your warrior two as you open up to the sides. Breathe. We'll be here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Left hand to come down to the mat. Come through your revolved side angle and then into side plank. Option to step the right foot over top of the left and then come through your wild thing. Take a breath in. As you exhale, close it off. Roll onto the right hand and right foot. Come onto your side plank or wild thing. Take a breath in. Exhale, high plank to low plank. Inhale, back to high plank. Exhale, drop knees, send hips back to heels. Inhale, pull yourself through to upward facing. And then exhale to downward facing dog. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. As you inhale, left leg rises to the sky. Exhale, left foot to left thumb, warrior two. Drop the right heel, open yourself up. Breathe. We'll be here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right hand releases down to the mat rather. Come through your revolved side angle and then into your side plank or drop the left foot behind you for wild thing. Take your breath in. As you exhale, close it off, high plank, and then roll onto the left side for side plank or wild thing. Take a breath in to rise up, and then exhale, high plank to low plank. Bend at the elbows, chaturanga. Rise back up to high plank. As you exhale, knees drop, hips send back. Inhale, pull yourself through upward facing, and then exhale to your downward facing dog. From here, walk the hands back to the feet. And you can either just dangle the arms down to the mat, or you can find a shoulder stretch by clasping the hands behind the low back and then lifting the palms overhead. Take a deep breath in. Deep breath out. Release the hands down. Crawl forward to high plank and then drop the forearms. This is our last challenge of the class. Walk the feet up closer to the elbows. Make any adjustments that you need. Stay here, or maybe lift one leg and then the other off the mat, kind of just alternating back and forth. If you'd like to, great opportunity to float on up into forearm balance, Pincha Mayurasana. And it's okay if you want to take a couple hops and attempts. They're not always successful, but we've done a fair amount of opening in the shoulders and in the upper body today, so we should be prepared at least to make an attempt, as long as we can fall safely. Either way, stay in your strength, in your dolphin, in your forearm balance, whatever, for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the knees down and sit back to your heels. Take a moment of relaxation here, a moment of softness. Feel the shoulders not do any effort right now. Trying to sit up tall at the same time. If you're like me, feel the sweat dripping down off the face. Feel the heart rate kind of start to relax as we breathe deeply. And then setting the legs out in front of you for a wide-legged forward fold. And of course, if you'd prefer to bring your feet closer together and just do a regular seated forward fold, by all means feel free. But we'll just take a moment to sit up nice and tall, and then we'll fold forward down the middle. And you might not fold forward very deep, right? If your hamstrings are already feeling a little bit tight, and that's completely okay. This doesn't have to be a deep stretch aesthetically. As long as it feels like a nice stretch physically in your body, that's really the only important thing that matters. Fold down the middle for maybe just another 20 seconds or so. Let it be soft. Start to sit up, and then we'll fold over the right leg and reach the left hand overhead for a side body stretch on the left side. You can rock the weight around in any way. You can reach the left hand for the right foot to deepen the stretch. Really go wherever feels good, but again, we'll have another 30 seconds or so on this side, really taking some deep breaths, opening across the left rib cage, the left psoas, the left low back. Just a couple more breaths. And start to lift up, come through center, fold over the left leg, get longer in the right side body as we reach the right hand up and over. And maybe the right hand reaches to the top corner of the room, maybe the right foot, or maybe the right hand reaches in the direction of the left foot. The specifics don't really matter as long as, again, you keep getting a nice stretch in the hamstring and in the right side body. Don't worry about what it looks like, worry about what it feels like. We'll have another 5 or so breaths here. And then we'll slowly start to lift up. Take one more fold down the middle just for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sit up nice and tall. Release the legs out in front of you and then recline onto your back. Find Supta Baddha Konasana just for a moment. Feet together, knees out wide. Rest the hands on the pointy hip bones. Feel your physical structure. Feel a sense of self-love, self-acceptance. Place your feet flat on the mat, knees up to the sky, and then we'll come into a bridge pose. Drive through the feet, lift the hips high off the mat. The hands can stay by your side. The hands can clasp together behind the low back to take it deeper. Go wherever you want to. Find the strength in the back body here for 10, 9, 8, 7. Make sure you breathe for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hips down to the mat. Shake the knees side to side. We'll have one more opportunity for bridge pose, of course. There's also the option for full wheel or Dhanurasana, placing the hands above your shoulders. Even if you're going for full wheel pose, I often prefer going through bridge pose first to build that foundation, to build the strength in the low back. And then once you're feeling stable, place the hands above the shoulders and press to rise up. Try to find your breath here. Use the breath as your point of stability in the deep back bend. Breathe. We'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the hips down to the mat and hug the knees into the chest. As you hug the knees and feel the low back slightly lift off of the mat, notice the release that provides. Option to stay here. Option to take this into happy baby by clasping the outside edges of the feet and hugging the armpits a little bit closer to the knees. Option to take this into a plow pose by lowering the feet behind your head or behind the back of the mat. Option to take this into a shoulder stand or a headstand if you want. It's inversion time, so anything that gets your feet above your heart counts as an inversion to me. And the reason I'm choosing plow pose is because I took a full wheel about a minute ago, which is a deep back bend for me. So this plow pose allows me to bring an opposite sensation of rounding into my spine, which for me just decompresses and releases some pressure. But wherever you're at, just breathe for a few more. And then slowly start to release your way back down onto the mat. Let the legs extend out long. Let the arms rest by your side. Roll the shoulders back down into the mat. Feel everything soften. Feel the body get heavy. Feel the body get heavy, and feel gravity weighing down. Maybe you want to rest your hands on your heart and belly if you'd prefer to feel the physical effects of the breath coming in through the lungs and then releasing out through the lungs. Yogis, this is where I will leave you today. You're welcome to linger deeper into your Shavasana. You're welcome to pick up your practice and continue onward with whatever movements are feeling in alignment. I hope to see you soon off or on the mat, because it's always such a blessing to be able to share this space with you. And until we do meet again, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Peace and love.